Right, so I'm going to attempt to talk about cranial nerves. Yeah, let's just go for it. Right, so cranial nerve 1 is your olfactory nerve. Olfactory nerve, which is sensory. In fact, we'll put that under there. Sensory. And what would you get? So olfactory is to do with smell. Just to really make sure we know. And if it went wrong, if there was a problem with the olfactory nerve, so let's put a little cross. If something went wrong with it, can't get the lid off my pen, we would have anosmia. So loss of that sense of smell. That's olfactory. 2, optic, which is sensory. What does your optic nerve do? Well, would you believe it's to do with your eyes? So it is to do with vision. So light coming into the eye. Excuse me. So what have we got here? So it's to do with vision. Let's have a little look. So things we'd be looking for in clinic. Distance reading. What else? We'd be looking for visual acuity. So acuity, so close-up reading. So visual neglect. So visual neglect, that is left and right differentiation. Visual neglect. So this is the test where you get them to look straight ahead and then they point to wherever of your finger is moving, whichever finger it is, left, right, or both. So left and right differentiation. And this is actually also to do with your pupillary light reflexes, which is sounds a bit weird because it's sensory only, but never mind. It's pupillary light reflexes. So if we had a problem with our optic nerve, what kind of things would we have? So blindness of some description. So this could be things like anopia. Is it called anopia? Anopia. Hemianopia. Hemianopia. Yeah, where certain fields of vision are fuckaroonied. What else? That'll do. So number 3, let's not overdo it. I mean, come on, we ain't got many days till the exam. Number 3 is your ocular motor. Ocular motor. Okay, so this is to do with your reflexes. So, and eye movements. And also the elevation of your eyelids. So, ocular. Yes, I am reading from this book and my notes. I'm allowed. I can do whatever I like. So, oculomotor. What did we say? So, eye movements. So, oculomotor is responsible for most of your eye movements. With the exception of moving the eyes out, so abduction of the eyes and the eyes going in and down. So in and down is your trochlear nerve, and then abducting the eye is the abducens nerve. But most eye movements, yeah. What did we say? We said pupillary responses. Pupillary responses. In particular, your consensual response as well. Yeah. And it also elevates your eyelid. Elevates eyelid, which is why on that picture it is the eyebrows. Elevates eyelid. So, what happens if it goes wrong? Well, in terms of eye movements, your eye would turn down and out. Eye turned down and out. Ophthalmoplegia. Plegia. What else? Ptosis. So ptosis is where the eyelid that it normally holds up droops because there's a problem with that particular part of the nerve and it can no longer do that. And you would also get a loss of your consensual response. Consensual, or reflex, I should say. Reflex response, same thing. That's that. So we'll go 4, because that comes after 3. So we have mentioned this already, is your trochlea. Oh, sorry, oculomotor. Is motor. So 4, trochlea, also motor. Let's write that down. Trochlea, also motor, number 4. And what does this do? We said this is, what does it do? Brings your eye down and in. So, eye movement down and in, and that is the lateral rectus muscle. Lateral rectus muscle. And what do we get if that goes wrong? Oh, that's not 4 in Roman numerals. Brilliant. Whoops. Oh, my beautiful picture. I hope my red pen's not running out already. That's 4, apparently, in Roman numerals. So what happens if your trochlear nerve goes wrong? You get what's called diplopia. Diplopia. So, yeah, if your trochlear nerve does the down and in, and it fails, it's not going to be able to do that. So it says here extorsion of the eye, weakness in depression of the adducted eye. So if it does this, if it brings it down and in and then it's failed, then it won't be able to do that anymore. So let's just stick with diplopia. Right, the 5th nerve. Hang on a second, might get a new bit of paper. Right, back again. So trigeminal. So the number 5, trigeminal nerve. So, as the name suggests, it's responsible for 3 things. This is both motor and sensory, so B for both. So we've got 3 branches. Let's go for 3 branches. We've got the ophthalmic branch. Ophthalmic branch. The maxillary. Is that it? Yep. Maxillary and mandibular. Branches, so 3 branches, trigeminal. Okay, so what do these do? Let's just think about. So if it does our mandibular, it's going to do chewing, isn't it? So mastication. Oh, that's a really little one, which isn't really worth writing about. Picks up sensations. And that's not a really interesting one either. Proprioceptive reflexes. But nothing exciting happens when they go wrong, really. Or at least it's insignificant. Well, we'll put it anyway. Proprioceptive reflexes, and there was another one. Reflexes, and the other one was dampens the tympanic membrane. And again, if that goes wrong, there's not a whole lot that goes on. Dampens tympanic membrane. So, what we are looking for here, if it goes wrong, so mastication, if that's not working, we'll have a jaw weakness. Jaw weakness. What else could we have? If it's responsible for sensation, we'd have a facial hemianesthesia. Oh God, come on, spelling. Easier. So this is the test where we do the Medipin don't we? We do sharp, soft, blunt down the 3 branches of the face and get them to differentiate. So that will tell us what's going on with that one. 5, no, so 6 abducens. So 6 V1. Where's my pen? Abducens. And what does your abducens do, number 6? Where remember we said it's to do with vision. And it abducts the eye. And that is your lateral rectus muscle. Abducts the eye. And that is lateral rectus. Lateral rectus muscle. So if that goes wrong, well, it's not going to be able to do that then, is it? So again, dyslopia, or diplopia, sorry. Diplopia. I'm getting the impression that diplopia means your eye goes a bit funny, okay? So medial deviation, abductor paralysis. It won't work, your eyes will be coming inwards, yeah, medial deviation. And abducens is a motor nerve, important there. So what next have we got? So what comes after 6? 7. Let's just double check that 7 is V11. I think it is. It's the hardest bit. It's learning your bloody Roman numerals. So V11. And that is your facial nerve. Oh, so what was your, oh, and this is, sensory and motor. So your facial nerve does facial movements. It's a big one. This is where you get them to test, you get them to raise their eyebrows and frown, purse their lips, pull a sad face. What else? Squeeze their eyes shut and then puff their cheeks out. So your frontalis, raising the eyebrows. Frowning is your orbicularis oculi. Squeezing your eyes shut is your orbicularis oculi. Puffing your cheeks out is your buccinators. Pursing the lips, orbicularis oris, and the sad face is your platysma. So facial movements. Ooh, nice. So secretions, lovely. If you are a secretory, you have secretions. And taste. And then if it goes wrong, what are we going to have? Facial paralysis. Facial paralysis, yeah? What else? So in terms of secretion, dry mouth. Loss of lacrimation. And also, in terms of taste, it's your facial nerve is responsible for the anterior 2/3 of the tongue. Let's just put that, actually. Anterior 2/3 of the tongue. So, loss of taste. we're getting there, over halfway. So 8. Oh, bloody hell, what's the thingy for 8? B111. Vestibulocochlear. Vestibulocochlear. So, vestibular bit, oops, that is to do with balance. Oh, sorry, hang on, let's just have a look. This is sensory. So, balance. And actually, when you do your cerebellar tests, you cover a shitload of balance stuff. So you've already tested the vestibulo part of this during your cerebellum tests. So balance, what else? And hearing. Let's keep it simple. Goodness, trying to make it difficult for ourselves. So if it goes wrong, what's going to happen? Balance, so disequilibrium, so balance problems. Equilibrium. Deafness. So how are we going to test these? This is the Weber's and Rinnie's tests. So yeah, we go into thingy on another video, so I'm not going into that again. God, that was a nightmare. Then we've got have we got glossopharyngeal? 9 and the 10. So let's just have a quick thingy. Glossopharyngeal, so 9 is 1x. And then we're going to put 10 in there as well. Can lump those two bad boys together. So glossopharyngeal. Glossopharyngeal. And the Las Vegas nerve. Okay. So, yeah, we're lumping these together. Oops. My pens are rolling. So, elevating the pharynx, so pharyngeal. So, elevates pharynx. What else does it do? Is also salivation, responsible for salivation a little bit. Taste, so the facial nerve was the anterior 2/3 of the tongue, so taste is going to be the posterior 1/3 of the tongue. It's about as good as my maths gets. What else have we got? General sensations, okay, you can stick that in there. So general sensations. And let's have a little look at the vagus nerve. So we had the elevates pharynx and also swallowing. We're lumping these together because we test them together. Also vocalization to some degree. Yeah, so they overlap a fair amount. So if they went wrong, what would we have? So elevates the pharynx while you're swallowing, and swallowing. If you had problems, you'd have dysphagia, so difficulty swallowing. You'd also have uvular deviation, and you'd be looking at their palate lift. Palate lift would be wonky. Let's not put wonky, let's put uneven. Did I put gag reflex? Gag reflex. Would be affected. What else? Anything else of note? Oh yeah, loss of taste, yeah. Yeah, and then loss of taste in that particular part of the tongue. Loss of taste. There we go. Right, let's change sheet of paper. Right, so next up, spinal accessory. I'm putting the spinal in brackets because my remembering tool it remembers it as an A rather than an S. So spinal accessory, and this is motor. Excuse me. Now this is for your traps and your SCM. Traps and your SCM. So that would be movement in the head and shoulders, right? Movement in head and shoulders. So if that went wrong, we'd have weakness, turning the head, GSCMs. And also shrugging your shoulders. Shrugging shoulders. Okay, that's that. Gosh, are we on the final one? So just double check, yeah. So X1, 12 is your hypoglossal. Hypoglossal nerve. And this is to do with tongue movements. Tongue movements. So if it's to do with tongue movements, therefore it is motor. So what would we happen if we had a problem with this? We would have potentially tongue deviations, of the tongue, fasciculations, articulations. What we do, what else? Looking for tongue atrophy. Just in terms of deviations, if it was to if there was to be a problem, it would deviate to the weak side because the strong side is pushing it over. And this is the test where you get them to put their tongue in their cheek and press against, resist your you pushing on their tongue. And that's that. That is our cranial nerves. And goodness me, half an hour. There we go.